one of the hardest moments in life is when life falls apart. You reach for God, and all you hear is silence. No answer, no sign, no peace. Just the ache of needing help and feeling like heaven has gone quiet. And that silence can make the mind spiral. Maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I'm being ignored. Maybe God has abandoned me. But what if God's silence isn't absence? What if the silence is where your false image of God starts breaking? Let's be honest. When people say, God is always with you, that can sound comforting when life is calm. But when you're exhausted, grieving, or emotionally worn down, that phrase can feel empty. Because in that moment, you don't want a concept. You want help. You want relief. You want clarity. You want some sign that you are not alone in this. And when nothing comes, it can feel personal. It can feel like spiritual rejection. That's the part many people don't talk about. They talk about faith after the breakthrough. They talk about trust after the storm has passed. They talk about the lesson once the pain makes sense. But they rarely talk about the middle. The place where you are still hurting, still praying, still trying, still waiting, and still hearing nothing. That middle place is where the mind becomes dangerous, because the mind cannot tolerate silence. The mind needs a reason. The mind needs a timeline. The mind needs an explanation. So when God does not answer in the way the mind expects, the mind creates its own answer. God is gone. God doesn't care. God is punishing me. But silence and abandonment are not the same thing. Silence means the form of communication you expected has stopped. Abandonment means love has left. Those aren't the same. Most people were taught to imagine God as someone outside of them, a being that's far away, a power that either gives or withholds, a presence that provides itself through signs, blessings, and outcomes. So when life becomes painful, the mind naturally looks outward. God, fix this. God, explain this. God, show me what to do. There's nothing wrong with praying for help. There's nothing wrong with wanting comfort. But the problem begins when the mind decides exactly how God must respond in order to be real. If God is real, I should feel peace right now. If God is with me, this should stop hurting. If God loves me, I shouldn't feel this alone. That is where the false image begins to crack. Because God is not just the force that makes pain disappear. God is the presence that remains even when pain is still here. And that's hard for the mind. The mind wants God to be an emergency exit. Push the prayer button, receive relief. Feel fear, receive certainty. Experience pain, receive rescue. But the living presence of God is deeper than emotional reassurance. If your connection to God depends entirely on whether you feel comforted, then your faith is not resting in God. It is resting in a feeling. And feelings change. God feels silent when you are trying to find God as an object inside your experience. A feeling, a sign, a clear answer. But God is not merely something that appears inside awareness. God is the depth in which awareness itself appears. God is not only a voice inside the silence. God is the silence in which every voice rises and falls. This is why the mind struggles. The mind can grasp thoughts. It can grasp symbols. It can grasp beliefs. It can grasp emotions. But God cannot be reduced to any of these. So when the mind reaches for God and finds no object to hold, it calls that silence. But the soul may be standing closer to God than ever. Not because life feels good, not because the pain is gone, and not because everything makes sense, but because the old way of relating to God is being stripped away. This is why so many deep encounters with God happen in wilderness, the desert, the night, the garden. These are not just physical places. They're inner states. They're moments where the old self cannot control the encounter anymore. And in that place, God is no longer an idea you hold. God becomes the reality holding you. The monad points to the undivided origin. The reality before the story of me over here, trying to reach God over there. When God feels silent, what may actually be happening is that your awareness is being pulled deeper than the surface relationship your mind understands. The silence exposes how much of your faith has been built around distance. You reaching, God answering. You fearing, God reassuring. You hurting, God fixing. But the deeper truth is not distance. The deeper truth is presence. The source is not absent because your emotions are loud. The source is not gone because your mind is confused. The source is not distant because your life is painful. It's the ground in which the pain, confusion, and silence are all appearing all at once. This does not make your suffering meaningless. It means the silence may be inviting you into a deeper recognition than comfort. Not God, come to me, but what is already here before the answer comes. God's silence does not always mean you are being ignored. Sometimes it means the part of you demanding an answer is not the part that can receive the truth. When fear is in control, it doesn't really want truth. It wants relief. When the ego is panicking, it doesn't want surrender. It wants certainty. When the wounded self is desperate, it doesn't want presence. It wants the pain to stop. That's human. There's no shame in that. But it's not the same as openness. Sometimes the answer cannot come in the form you are demanding, because the demand itself is built from fear. Sometimes God feels silent because your fear is too loud to recognize what is subtle. You're asking through panic, listening through panic, interpreting through panic, and panic can't recognize presence. It only recognizes control. So when control doesn't arrive, panic says, God is gone. But God was never the control. God was the presence beneath the collapse of control. So what does this look like in your real life? It looks like praying and still taking the next honest step. It looks like not getting the reassurance you wanted, but noticing you're still breathing, still here, still being carried through this moment. It looks like refusing to turn pain into proof that God has left. It looks like saying, I don't feel guided right now, but I won't let fear define God for me. It looks like being honest instead of performing faith. Real faith is not pretending the silence does not hurt. Real faith is refusing to worship the mind's interpretation of that silence. Sometimes the answer is not a dramatic sign. Sometimes the answer is the strength to continue without knowing. Sometimes the answer is the pause before you spiral. Sometimes the answer is the quiet support that arrives through another person. Sometimes the answer is the strange peace that doesn't remove the pain, but keeps the pain from becoming your identity. Not every answer comes as thunder. Sometimes God speaks through what quietly keeps you from giving up. So if God feels silent when you need Him the most, don't rush to condemn yourself. Don't assume that you're abandoned. Don't let the mind turn pain into a theology of rejection. Pause. Take a deep breath. Look deeper. Maybe the silence isn't the end of the connection. Maybe it's the end of your old image of the connection. Maybe God isn't failing to answer. Maybe the answer is arriving beneath the level where fear expected it. The mind wants God to speak because it doesn't know how to rest in presence. But the soul begins to recognize what the mind cannot grasp. That even here, even in the silence, even before the breakthrough, something remains. Something still holds you. Something still breathes. Something still witnesses the storm without being destroyed by it. This isn't motivation. This is recognition. God has not become absent because your mind cannot hear Him. The silence may be the doorway where belief becomes direct knowing. And the monad reveals what remains when every image, answer, and expectation falls away. Not emptiness. Presence. Not abandonment. Source. Not distance. The reality that was holding you before you ever knew how to ask. If this journey spoke to you, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs to know that silence doesn't mean abandonment. Comment below. I won't confuse silence with absence. I read every comment. If you would like to support my work directly, you can do so at buymeacoffee.com/magnumopus333. Or you can explore some original merchandise at my Teespring store online. The link is in the description below. Remember, your consciousness is the key that unlocks reality. Let's keep unlocking it together. Thank you for watching. Until next time.